You're all very, very busy. My name is Kim Gillet. I am co-president of the PA along with Tiffany Roberts. Tiffany was co-president last year, so I'm trying to catch up a little bit. However, I have been here since 2017. I have 3 children. My daughter is here. She's a junior. So Tiffany and I, we can answer a lot of questions for you. And we're going to introduce you to the rest of the board in a little bit. We would like to make one introduction, and then we're going to bring Principal Newman up. We'd like to introduce you to the person who can answer a whole lot more questions than we can, and that's Mary Hune, the parent coordinator.
Hi everyone, welcome to our first PA meeting of the year. Thank you so much for coming. Hope the pizza was good. I've been answering as many questions as I can on email. Unfortunately, I had COVID last week, so there was a little bit of a delay, and I apologize for that. I apologize for COVID. I guess schedules will probably all settle down a little bit. You may have found out that in the beginning of the year, schedules get shuffled around. Even if your student doesn't do any ad drops, they still get shuffled, so they should still keep checking their schedules. Probably till the end of this week, I'm guessing. Shuffling's over. David says shuffling is over, so all the schedules are now etched in stone. I don't know, do you have any questions for me that Mr. Newman can't answer? No, awesome. Okay, have a really good night.
And now, we'd like to welcome Mr. David Newman to answer your questions. Principal Newman, and he's going to just give a brief statement, and then we'll get to your questions after that. Thank you.
I'm going to answer that question. Do you have a follow-up question? We'll do these first. Okay. I'll tell them what's going on in the world right now. Okay. A few things that are going on in the world. Program changes are done now. And just to talk a little bit about that, as you can imagine, a lot of students want to add classes. Some students want to drop, but most students want to add classes. And you can see a little bit, especially, I know a lot of you are freshman parents, so there wasn't as much adding and dropping. But later on, there's in your years, there's a bit more of that. So there's a little bit of chaos, and it's just like everything here. It's, one of those, what is that game? What is that game? Not Jenga. What's that game that you... Tetris, right. And so, I should know that. So everything's like a perfect game of Tetris here, and sometimes it's a little bit imperfect. And there's a lot of students that want to add things. We have a limited amount of space, of course. So it doesn't work out always for everyone, and just be, mindful of that. We try to do the best we can. Other people get shuffled a little bit because we have to equalize classes. This is some boring stuff of programming, but classes can only have a certain number of students in them, and so when they're shuffling around, sometimes classes are oversized a little bit, and somebody has to move after no fault of their own, and we equalize out. That happens with 9th grade more than any other grade, because we don't know exactly how many of you are going to show up, right? There's always a small percentage of students that decide not to come to school, move out of the state or whatever. You have 1,400 kids coming in. There's always a handful of kids that decide not to come here at the last second for a variety of reasons. But we don't know who those kids are until they don't show up, right? So we don't. So when they move around, or don't show up, we move around. And anyway, all right, I'm boring everyone. So that's that. So if you've experienced a little bit of shuffling as a 9th grader, especially as Mary talked about, moving out of a class when you didn't ask to move out of a class, that's really a 9th grade thing. It's not so much of a 10th, 11th, or 12th grade thing, just because a little bit of the uncertainty around 9th grade. The other thing I want to talk about is we have this Snacks with the Principal program. It's not snacks for you, it's snacks for your kids. It's about snacks a little bit. For some kids, it's more about the snacks than it's about the principal. But 20 kids every week, they sign up, they come in my office, and we do have snacks. But mostly, we get to know each other a little bit, the other kids in the room. Usually it's mostly ninth graders. The upperclassmen are a little too cool to be hanging out with the principal, but, and then we get to know each other a little bit, and then we have some snacks, and then they ask all sorts of questions, and they get to know a little bit more about the school and whatnot. Usually it's pretty popular, and we fill up, you know, all the way throughout the fall. So I'm going to be sending something out to the students to sign up for it. I encourage you to encourage them to sign up for it. They do, besides learning a little bit more about the school and getting to know me a little bit, they get to know each other, and they're usually, it's random, you know, they sign up, so they usually don't know anybody in the room, and maybe they'll make a couple of new friends, right? And so that's another goal of it as well. So that'll be going out Monday, and it'll start the following week. I think it's going to be every Wednesday from now to the end of the semester. It's Tuesday or Wednesday. I think it's Wednesday. All right, anyway, look out for that. Okay, so I have a bunch of questions that you guys have all sent in, and you're gonna...
Will there be college tours? And if yes, when, and how do the students sign up?
Oh, that's a good one. So the goal is to have 4 college tours this year. So I know a lot of your freshman parents. They're not going to be for freshman parents, well, they're only for kids anyway. But for seniors, we're going to have 2 tours soon, and they should look out for information from the college office. And we're going to have 2 in the spring. Those are obviously going to be for juniors. So that's sort of the cadence that we'll do. 2 for juniors, 2 for seniors. There'll be 1 like to the DC area. There'll be 1 to the Boston area. There'll be 1 you know, around New York, but not in New York City. And then there's going to be 1 just in New York City. So anyway, all right, look out for that. But yes, there's going to be 2 in the fall for seniors. You want to read it? Okay. All right, Tiffany. How are freshmen encouraged to try out after-school clubs? Will parents get a list of club options too? Yes, we will. So we have a club fair that I should know that date. You know the date? Anybody? Date? Was it? It's October. Okay, it's October something. The kids know about it. You'll know about it as well. It's in the dailies. So there is a club fair. We're over 300 clubs right now, and all 300 clubs are represented at the club fair. There's a whole lot going on about it. You have the date, or you have something you want to say about the club fair?
Yes.
Yes, about one of those. Okay.
I do want to say that Mr. Velasquez is going to come to the next meeting, and he does a lot of the stuff at the club. So on October 19th, which is the same, is it October 19th? The same day as the elections, he'll be here to answer all your questions about clubs.
Okay. All right, but so the club fair is after that?
It would be before.
Maybe? Okay. All right, we'll get you the date. So they are exposed to all the 300 clubs and representative clubs, and they see what clubs are out there and whatnot. And then they decide they want to join based on whatever. And then right after the club fair, clubs start happening. So they get a lot of information about clubs. They get to meet the executive board members of each club and whatnot. And then we post a list on the website of, and even if you don't go to a particular club during the club fair, it doesn't mean you can't be in the club. So you could show up to the club, and that's fine too. And then we post, after the club fair, we will post a list of all the 300 something clubs and the rooms that they meet and the days that they meet. So then you would know, and then they would know where to go, and they can always reference that just in case they forget.
All right, we have the procedures for using the bathroom and who monitors the bathrooms. And then we have another question about tutoring.
Oh, okay. Lots of interesting bathroom questions. It varies from teacher to teacher. Some teachers, very few I would say, like have you raise your hand and say, can I go to the bathroom? And then they give you like a bathroom pass and then you go, right? It is much more commonplace that you don't raise your hand. You just go and there's a little like book by the door and you sign the book, you take the pass, you don't have to communicate with anybody, interrupt the class at all. You just slip out and go and then you just come back, right? And so that's basically it. Who monitors the bathroom? I don't know exactly what we mean by that, but like I surely don't have adults inside the bathroom. I don't have adults outside the bathroom, so the students just go to the bathroom. Now I have adults in the hallways, so if you're like loitering around or whatever, we have adults that were like, hey, go back to class and whatnot. We have deans that do sweeps and whatnot, but I do not have people parked outside the bathrooms to babysit the bathrooms. Tutoring schedule. Oh, so they're just asking, so we have tutoring will be for almost every single course after school. It will be every day, but it won't be the same course every day. So like, let's say physics might be Monday and Wednesday after school, where chemistry might be Tuesday, Thursday, whatever it is, right? And so there'll be a whole schedule that's posted. Tutoring does not look to start. It will be in 2 weeks. So it will start in 2 weeks, so was that like the first week of October? Is that what I'm looking at? Yeah, so that's when the tutoring will begin. So we'll put the tutoring schedule online, and that will be well publicized. If the school is required to evacuate, where do students go? To the park or another location? That's an interesting question also. Could be both, right? So if we evacuate to the street, right? And then that is normally what we do at a fire drill. We evacuate to the street, clear of the school. We get off the school perimeter all the way around, and we go, we walk and stay on the street, right? In designated areas that we go. We go in 5 different directions, and that's it. And that's where we go, right? That's obviously in a drill or something like short term. There aren't too many. If I evacuate, so for example, if there's let's say, and I'm not belittling this, it doesn't like happen often, but let's say there's a little fire in, in my own garbage can, something I throw out in the garbage can, and somehow it lights something on fire, right? And so there's a small fire, and then I put it out right away in my own office, let's say, right? I'm gonna check around if there's what the smoke situation is, whatnot. If it's a small thing and it's contained, I will of course call FDNY, but in that case, I probably won't evacuate. That's my choice. I'm just giving ideas of things or whatever, right? Or that might be something if we evacuate, it might be a quick evacuation, and then the fire department calls it clear, and then you come right back in, right? If there's something, a longer evacuation that we might need to go somewhere else, the plan is to take all the students to the park, and we have staging areas in the park, right? We don't have one evacuation site. We have multiple evacuation sites. So we would stage in the park and assemble all the kids in different areas in the park where all our building response team knows where to put all the kids. And then once everything's settled, then we take this huge group of kids and we go to LIU. And then this huge group of kids goes somewhere else. And so then that's that kind of evacuation, once we go to the park for staging, is gonna be a longer term evacuation where you're gonna be safe inside the building. Right? That might happen a little bit quicker depending on the weather, right? So I might be more inclined as we're figuring things out to let students stand around for like an hour if the weather is okay, and they're in a safe area before assembling and deciding to go to another facility, right? But if it's cold and they don't have their jackets, I might just take them to another facility, even if it's going to be temporary, a short period of time, right? So it really depends on the circumstance and the situation, and along the way, I make those calls as to, what to do. We always err on the side of caution, though, so if ever there is something, even like a small little fire, we would probably even temporarily evacuate. As soon as that happens, by the way, I would alert all parents. I might not give them as much information as they want because I might not have as much information, right? I might just say, small contained fire led to an evacuation. Your kids are safe on the street, right? And so that's maybe all I have, right? And then parents go on, and then I decide, now we're staging in the park. Now your kids are in the evacuation areas. And then even when you're in evacuation areas, if there's, let's say, 4 sites that we evacuate to, I'm not gonna know exactly where, right away, where your kid is. I'm not gonna know where your kid is, and probably until we get there. So there's a little bit of, settling going on, but the kids are all safe. And so I think that's the whole point. All right, I don't know what else to talk about evacuations. We're going on and on. Okay. Can freshmen voluntarily take an AP? Voluntarily take an AP? If yes, what support? I don't know where we're going with that. I can't read the rest of it. Can freshmen voluntarily take an AP? I don't know what you're asking. I'm going to just say no. I think the what they're asking, like, first of all, school already started. If you don't have a class already, you're not getting it. It's over. So I don't know if that's a moot, but the only AP freshmen can take is AP biology, and that was offered to you. It was done already before you even got in here. So if you're thinking of transferring into an AP now, that ship is sailed. How many volunteer hours, and can those be done in school? I don't know how many volunteer hours off the top of my head. I mean, it's in there, I don't know, I should know that. But I don't know. But yes, absolutely can be done in school. That can be done in such a variety of ways. We have students, you might have seen, the freshman parents, you might have seen the army of students helping with orientation, right? Those are volunteer hours, right? You might, I mean, occasionally I have students after school that work in my office, right? That's volunteer hours. I have students that handle sound and audio and help this, who have this skill set and help our auditorium do what it does after school. And those are volunteer hours. There are so many opportunities to volunteer here, and we have a lot of opportunity for you to volunteer outside as well. Okay, I'm going to speed this up. Can we implement a better system for announcing upcoming sports tryouts? PSA website is not enough. Maybe a section on the BTHS EDU homepage. We do have a section on the BTS homepage. Yeah, so you should go there. There's all our sports, all the tryouts, all the sports news. As our teams are doing, there's a whole sports area to our BTHS. And there's even a sports calendar where you could see all the games and events that is separate from our main calendar.
Do you have a question related to PSAL?
No, for the other question with
What?
the volunteer.
Yeah.
So is the volunteer office the only place that you can go to to be assigned to where your volunteer station would be, like the principal's office and XYZ?
I mean, what you're saying sounds like a much better idea than what we actually do. And so I love that idea of going. Honestly, how the kids end up volunteering in my office, they just stop in, and I'm like, you know.
Yeah, but how do they acquire those? How do they note those hours to say that, okay, well, I have these said hours in this particular thing, which adds to their volunteer?
Yeah. I mean, so like if you work in my office and you have to be somewhere and you can work for 45 minutes a day, right? I'm like, great, 45 minutes, and I take you and you come, and then that's it, right? I think if you come and say, I want to stay for an hour and a half, like I've had students work in my office where I've had parents, and I'm not encouraging you to do this, and I don't even know why I'm saying this. I've had parents that have called me and say, I don't want my kid coming home, right? I'm not home. I want my kid staying at school a little bit longer. And somehow, all of a sudden, like the exact time that the parent wants to get home, the kid gets home and then they hang out with me. Like that's happened. I'm not encouraging you all to do that. This is one kid. Only one of you can do this, right? And so, but yeah, I think so there's a little bit of that as well, right? Like, and so you find a way to do something here and that works out. Like that's usually a 9th grade thing. By the time they're a little older, you're like, okay, they can come home. But so there's a little bit of that. It is much more informal. You can go up to our coaches and be like, I want to volunteer, and they can give you a variety of things to do. That happens, but it's not nearly as formalized a process as you sort of incline that it is, right? It's not so, but they'll know opportunities that you could have, and you come in, they're like, what you want to do, and then they'll sort of send you. But most of our kids do their volunteer hours outside the building. Okay. What was it? 50 hours. 50 hours, says Tiffany. Okay. How do I update the blue card? How do I update the blue card? Mary, it's a question for you. Just scream.
Everyone got a piece of paper when you came in. If you're not a freshman parent, if you're upperclassman parent, just email me. I think you all know my email address by this point, right? So just email me if you need to update the blue card, if you need to add an emergency contact or something like that. Just email me. All right?
Oh, Mary.
Can you just update Jupiter for that?
No, it's different. You can update Jupiter, but you have to email me because Jupiter is different than the DOE system. The Jupiter is just like proprietary for us only. It doesn't go across the DOE.
They can't hear you, Mary.
So I'm not using the mic.
You want to come up here, you non-teacher boys? Oh, you got it. You're on the mic.
To update the blue card, email me, Mary Hune. You hopefully have my email address. We did send out these things, but these are for freshman parents. So make sure freshman parents, you all fill this out. This is really important. I meant to add one thing earlier, that to get on the constant contact list for all the emails that we get from the school, the daily announcements, you have to fill out the blue card. I update the list from there, okay? So grab this on the way out if you didn't get it. It's also on the website, and you've also got emails about it, okay? Anyone else on the blue card questions?
So that's the add a parent, right? If you I wanna add, okay.
Yeah. If you need to add a parent, add an emergency contact me, all right?
Okay, there are no fitness mats. Kids exercise on the floor. Can we donate money so the school can buy mats? It's not a question of money, so here's what happens. So periods are 41 minutes. So kids are given like 8 minutes to change, right? And then on the tail end of physical education, they're given 8 minutes to sort of change back. 8 minutes including walking to the locker room, whatever, right? So we're really only talking about, I don't know, when it's all said and done, we're talking about 20-something minutes, 25 minutes of physical education, right? And they're not always, now they're doing something called a fitness gram for like the next week or so. So they're doing a little bit more like stretching and exercising in that regard. But then they break out into like basketball and volleyball and badminton and other sort of activities that you can't use the mats for. So the idea is, since there's such limited time, we're not gonna like pull out mats and then pull back mats and like back and forth with the mats. So kids are, I don't know, if they're doing like a push-up on a gym floor, if they're doing sit-ups or whatnot, yeah, they're doing that on a hardwood floor for now. But most of the time, physical education is not that they're actually playing athletic activities and just don't have time for the mats back and forth. So it's not about money, it's just about it doesn't work to pull the mats back and forth. What do we have to do to get days off for vacation? So Tiffany thinks a kid wrote this. And so that's what we're thinking here. So I don't know what you mean by get days off of vacation. There are no vacations. You have set vacations, right, that are built in to the DOE calendar. There are no other vacations. We're not taking vacations any other time. And so missing school, as you'll find, is a pretty serious thing in the sense of, piling on, missing days of days has a huge domino effect here. And I don't recommend that. So if you can, for your families and your lives, like orient your vacations around, the times that students are off, and try not to take a vacation other times. I know that may be difficult, but that's fairly discouraged. Please provide clarity on PSAT sign-up dates. Okay, so we have, I think it's they're putting the 12th, the 19th, and 26th. I'm gonna go with that. So there's 2 Saturdays and a Tuesday. So those are the only 3 dates, that's it. And these are, and we're talking about the PSAT, these are for junior families. So to tell you the cycle, in October, juniors take the PSAT. Okay, and then in March, maybe April, depending on the date we pick, 10th graders take the PSAT, right? And juniors take the SAT, right? So it's a cycle. So you start in spring of your 10th grade, you take the PSAT. Then a few months later, in October, you take the PSAT again. Then a few months after that, you take the SAT for real, right? So that is the cycle. For all of these, for that entire cycle, the school pays for all of that, right? So for the SAT during our SAT, our PSAT for the 10th grade and the 11th grade, we pay for that whole thing, right? The whole cycle. Okay. you might want to take an SAT outside that, but that's what we provide and whatnot. And so you sign up for one of the 2 Saturdays, right? Now the Saturdays we didn't pick, right? So these are 2 Saturdays designed by the College Board. I will say that one of the Saturdays is unfortunately Yom Kippur, and so, but you can pick the other Saturday, but there's also a Tuesday you can pick after school. So you can pick one of the 3 times to take the PSAT, but this is just for juniors. Sophomores will take it, as I said, 10th graders in the spring, but also juniors would take the SAT in the spring. I don't know if I created more confusion, maybe I did, yeah. No, there's a Saturday, and a Tuesday. Yeah, I think the 12th, I don't think the 19th is a date. I think it's the 12th, the 26th, another day. Okay, all right. I'll make sure that if it's not correct, what I see here, Tiffany showing me is 3 Saturdays. It's not 3 Saturdays, it's 2 Saturdays and a Tuesday. Yeah.
Could you talk a little bit about the difference between the ACT and the SAT? And should my child, he's a junior right now, and I'm just trying to gauge, should he take both? Should he just take the SAT?
So it's the ACT versus the SAT?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
So the question was a little bit about the ACT or the SAT, right? And so I'm going to talk to you mostly now as a parent, right? So I have my oldest, I have 2 little ones, but my oldest is now a junior in college, and she never took the SAT. She took the ACT. So I felt like, and this is my personal thing, right? One, the school pays for the PSAT, which leads to the SAT, which also the school pays for. ACT, you're on your own. Right? We don't facilitate the ACT here. We don't give it on a weekend. There are other opportunities, by the way, for you to take the SAT here. We're not paying for it. You can pay for it, but we are a testing site on other weekends as well. ACT, we got nothing, right? So you'd have to take it on your own. So that's one thing, right? But I'm not saying that's a reason, to take the SAT. So what I ended up doing for my daughter, I gave her like practice exams, and I found that she was consistently slightly better, apples to apples on the ACT. She was performing at a higher metric than the SAT in comparison. So I'm like, this is the exam for you. So we forgot about the SAT, she never studied for it or whatever, and then she just took the ACT, and that was her. I didn't have her take a prep class. That was my thing, whatever. I probably should have. She got a book, whatever. But we saw from the very beginning that she was more inclined to doing well. And I thought that was the way to go. I think that's a good way to go, picking one over the other. They are pretty different exams. And so trying to wrap your head in a short period of time around both and trying to achieve in both and trying to prep for both, in my mind, as a parent who knows a little bit about education, seems like a mistake. I think if you could figure out which one you might do better at, and then all things considered, if you're doing similar in both, pick one for whatever reason. The kid might do similar in both, but might like one exam more than the other, or have one exam that they like less for some reason, right? Regardless of how they perform on. So
It's one less math-driven, math and science-driven versus.
What was that?
It's one of the tests is it less math-driven / science-driven, or are they about the same, equal, like language, math, science?
I mean, they're not. When you dive into it, they're not exactly the same, right? Like there's no science piece in the SAT. The SAT might refer to sciencey things as part of a reading comprehension, but there's no science part. And then the ACT, I don't know. It's hard to sort of describe the difference of the exams, but there's definitely a difference there.
And colleges will take either.
They don't care. They weigh them equally. They're not like, you didn't take the SAT. They don't see either exam as inferior whatsoever. Many schools will see one or the other. There is no school in this country that only accepts one. All right. Anything? I'm out of cards. Anything else? Quick questions? Very quick questions? Oh, you got another
Very
one.
quick question. dinner / breakfast with you.
Oh, yeah.
When is that's coming up soon?
Yeah,
And then
yeah, yeah.
another question is, when can juniors sign up for that?
Yeah. So these are all done through the PA, and so I like to give them a shout out. I mean, I show up because you feed me, and then it's a great thing. We break bread a little bit and we talk. It's very much like the Snacks with the Principal for the kids. It's almost identical to that, but the meals are a little bit more filling, I guess. Yeah, so it's on me at this point. I just have to come up with some dates around my schedule to work it out where the dinners and the breakfast would work. It is, usually we do them, the dinners are on a Thursday night and then follow the very next day by a breakfast Friday morning. So I know in a 24-hour period I'm gonna get fed well. But yeah, and we do them a lot in the beginning, kind of until the people stop signing up. So I'm going to give a whole bunch of dates to the co-presidents here, and then they've reached out to me already. I just gotta figure my life out as things calm down and see the calendar and whatnot.
And then, sorry, just one more question. Naviance. So my
Naviance.
kid is a junior.
Yeah.
And when should we create an account?
When what?
When should we start? When can we create an account on Naviance?
Your kid's a junior?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
So you're not able to? I don't get it.
No, because I emailed Miss Rivas, is that her name? She said that junior students will have access to Naviance in the spring, but I thought it would be earlier than that for junior kids.
yeah, you should have access already.
Send me an email. So my email is dnewman2@schools.nyc.gov, but you can do it right to the website too. Send me an email. You should have access already.
Okay.
All right, and then I'm going to take a couple more questions and then I'm done. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll try to talk loud. So I'm a public health professional, and part of what in my field we do is also harm reduction. And so I know about what happened last year in terms of the unfortunate death of one of your students.
Yeah.
And so something that I'm very frustrated with in terms of DOH is that they're. Okay, you can, okay. So I'd be happy to. Right, sorry. Howdy, folks. My name's Tanya Taylor. I have a freshman, Luca. So I work in the field of public health, and actually the Division of Infectious Disease, and so I knew about COVID before you did, which sucked. Okay, COVID sucks. But the thing is that in my field, I'm very frustrated with the lack of, promoting some of our harm reduction strategies around fentanyl, drugs, etc. So something that I'm trying to do in the two now schools, because I have a kid still in middle school, is that I'm trying to raise awareness of the fact that we have tools that, I am assuming that you guys probably have done a lot of outreach talking to the students here in terms of the dangers of using drugs, purchasing drugs on the street, the frequency of, in terms of them being contaminated with fentanyl, blah, blah, blah. But, there's a whole bunch, and I don't know why DOH is not doing this, but there are a whole bunch of harm prevention strategies that they're just not promoting in terms of testing strips and also in terms of basically getting free Narcan. So I just wanted to know, and I think that in high school we should be doing this, that, thinking about how we can make available some harm prevention tools if someone is interested in taking these pills on the street, but says oh, I heard that you can pick up 5 free testing strips from the nurse, no question asked. You don't have to go and say, I'm getting this for a friend, that maybe what this might do is help prevent some deaths. And so I'd love to work with PTA on that. I've also acquired a box of 100 testing strips. I'd love to give you guys the information so that every single parent in here can go and get a free Narcan kit sent to your house. I have about 4 of them. I walk around with my Narcan kit all the time. Was going to a soccer game and came across some kids that had OD'd. So I think the more we have these conversations with our kids, the more that they will understand. I'm Gen X, and you could hang out and experiment with drugs, but it's a very different day and age, and I don't want to see any more young people die. And so,
Thank you. So on that note, I just want to point out, we're the only school in New York City that every single staff member has been Narcan trained. And so we do have an in-house person who's training, and some of you went to some trainings by Ms. Ford, the mental health first aid and whatnot. Same person, Ms. Ford is an amazing resource. We're lucky to have her. She's been trained in a variety of things, so she's a trainer who trains people on Narcan training, and she trained the entire staff, and then after that, training anyone who wanted Narcan was given Narcan. So we have a variety of staff members that have Narcan every day. The city is, you pointed out, is a little slow around this. We're a little faster than them. Test strips we don't have. What was it? Oh, you have them for me. Did you want to say something? Okay. Yeah, and the nurse does have Narcan as well, but we have many staff members that have Narcan as well. In most schools, it's just the nurse, but yeah. Okay, and I think there was one more question that we're done. Yeah.
More or less waiting. My daughter is still waiting she's a ninth grader, she's waiting to get her BTHS email so that she can submit her volunteer hours. She'll do some volunteering. And apparently she needs that email address to do that.
Take
So
that.
just curious what the progress is on that.
Yeah, you got
You should get that by the end of next week. We focused on the kids NYC emails first because that's really important to set them up in the DOE, and that's how they sign into Google Classroom. This is the second tier. You know that there's 1,500 new students, so but it'll get there.
Okay.
Probably end of next week.
Checking. Thank you.
Mr. Newman, he's actually here yesterday as well, so rest assured, he comes to all of our meetings. So you can email him if you have a question, or Mary or the PA, but he'll be back in October to answer a lot more questions.
If you have any more questions, please.
Email him, it's dnewman2@schools.nyc.gov. So, and he does, it might take a little bit because he gets a lot of emails, but he will get back to you. All right, so we're going to move on, and usually the first couple of meetings are a little bit longer, so we apologize for that, but we're going to try to go quickly. And let's see here. All right, so we've done that. We never called the meeting to order, so I guess we should do that now. We're calling it to order. He skipped ahead. He was later on our agenda, but we forgive him for that because he stayed and answered a lot of questions. So we'd like right now to introduce our board, and right now we're just going to ask them to stand and wave to you, and then if they have committee updates or if they have class updates, they're going to come up and speak. But right now we just want to familiarize you with some of the board members. You've met me, Kim, and Tiffany. Our recording secretary happens to be my husband. He's recording this meeting, and the meeting will be put up. We're not live streaming because we have some difficulty in the auditorium with live streaming with our connection, so we're recording it, and it will be put up on our YouTube channel within the next day or so. So, Vito, give a wave. Our treasurer, our wonderful treasurer, is Ken Ho, and he will be getting up and begging you for money in a little bit, in like 2 minutes. We have an assistant treasurer, Lee. Are you here? We have co-corresponding secretaries who help Tiffany and me because when you send us emails, there's a lot of emails, and so they help us to answer. They work very, very hard. And so, Inna Jackson, could you stand up? Inna, are you here? All right, well, she's been working very hard. And Christopher, I know I saw you. And our VPs of fundraising were supposed to be here tonight. Leslie got called away at the very last minute. Leslie planned our gala next year, and she'll be involved quite a bit in that this year. But she has a new co-vice president, Naeem. Naeem had to get on a flight for business, but he's the one that brought the pizzas. And we're gonna forgive him that they were late because he actually got the pizzas donated, so it didn't cost us anything tonight. So we forgive him for being late. And communications, these are very, very hardworking people. They do tech talk. And I hope you all at least click on it and read part of it, because a lot of work goes into tech talk, and you can really find a lot of valuable information in that. Emily, are you here? There's Emily. And Horia, I don't believe could be here. Horia, are you here this evening? Yes, he just had knee surgery, so I didn't think he would be here. But he's redesigning our logo and our website, so these are two very, very hardworking people. And now we have events and volunteers. Is it Juan or Juan? Juan and Monique, I saw Monique a little while ago. There we go.
Can I say something real quick?
We're going to bring you up. We're going to give all the board members, if you have updates, to go ahead. Just want everybody to see you real quick. And then diversity and community engagement, which is one of my favorites because that's where I've been for the last several years. And Sharon is unable to be here tonight, but Iris is here somewhere. Iris? There she is. And then we have representatives from the different classes, and the senior class has a lot to do because there's obviously a lot going on. Prom and the fall cruise and trips, and there's lots, and let's not forget the most important, applying for college. So our reps for the senior class are Felix and Amy. And they're gonna have a couple updates for you before we go this evening. Junior class reps are Pratima, and I hope I'm saying that correctly. Pratima, are you here? Okay, she's not here, and Lorraine is here. And our sophomore class reps are Craig and Teresa. And we're going to move on in just a second and have the updates. Do you want me to skip ahead to you, and then we'll come back to the committees? Can we do that for you? All right, just a quick question. How many freshman parents do we have here tonight? And you need to come back, okay? You gotta come back. And we gotta talk to you. We've got some, positions open for all of you. How many sophomore parents? Junior? Senior? Wow, that's pretty good, because senior usually sick of us by now, so it's really nice to see all of you. All right, so we're gonna skip ahead to our treasurer, and that is Mr. Kenhill.
Thank you. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Ken, and I have a junior here at Tech. And it's my second year serving this wonderful PA, and I couldn't be happier to be here. So I just want to take the next 5-10 minutes or so to give you an overview of our budget that was approved by the PA and the parents back in June, and a brief update on our finances as of August. So let me start with the chart on the left-hand side. The solid green bar represents our projected revenues for this school year, which is $390,000. And our main sources of income are the annual appeal, which is a good chunk of it, followed by the Lunar New Year fundraising, Spring Gala, and the merchandise sale that you just saw on your way in. We also have interest income of $30 per year, thanks to Chase, but that gets wiped out pretty easily, pretty fast. On our expenses, we have budgeted a total of $445,000, and I grouped them into 4 categories. The first 2 are fundraising and basic expenses to keep this PA running, such as payment for the website, communication platforms, and we also have to pay accounting fees for the CPAs to prepare our tax returns. The rest of our expenditures, approximately 80% of it, will directly benefit our students across all grade levels. Some of the things that we do include the college essay, which is, I think, is the only specialized high school PA that's currently doing it. Correct me if I'm wrong, and we'll find out later, okay? And we also support the Navion software. I just paid the bill. It's in excess of $35,000, which is not cheap. We also have classroom enrichment programs, clubs and teams, freshman orientation. I think majority of you are freshman parents, so hopefully your kids have some great time in the school. We also offer graduation support for the families that cannot afford the senior dues. The PA will do whatever it can to make sure that every single child has the chance to walk across the aisle. And Mr. Newman is not here, but we have about 200 rockstar teachers inside this building, preparing our students to be better citizens in this world. So we think it is only the right thing to show our appreciation to them at least once a year. So we have a budget line for teachers' appreciation. So given all the initiatives that we have, we are expecting a deficit of about $55,000 for this year in the budget. So moving to the right, we have raised about $3,000 as of August, which is less than 1% of our fundraising target as of August. And we paid about $16,000 in total expenses. And most of them, as I mentioned before, freshman orientation. We also sponsor parent-teacher conferences. It's a software that we sponsor. And Constant Contact, which is the communication platform that we pay for. And as of now, we are looking at a deficit of $13,000 or net loss of $13,000 as of August. So our cash balance as the end of August was $390,000. So that brings me to the next slide. $390,000 or $400,000 sounds like a lot of money, especially to many of us, especially to me, because I live paycheck to paycheck every week. Okay, but when we compare that with other specialized high schools, you can see the numbers here. We put the Brooklyn Tech PA on top because simply I think we are number one. The next three schools are, I'm not going to name them, but there's one in Lower Manhattan. There's one in Upper West Side, and there's also another one in the North Bronx. Speaking of the school in the North Bronx, somebody in this room, or was in this room, graduated from that school, and the last time I checked, he's doing pretty well in his life. Speaking of the two schools in Manhattan, I also know that there is a PA leadership personnel sitting with us tonight. So, you know, we appreciate you being here, okay? So I want to just talk about some key numbers, you know. It's kind of depressing, but with the cash balance we have right now, we are not sufficient to fund what we want to do for this current school year. If you look at other specialized high schools, they have more or less $1 million sitting in the bank account. So, and obviously they're spending more money than us, but just keep that in mind, we have double the enrollment than those three schools, okay? I think we can do better, and it is my dream. It is also our wonderful fundraising team's goal to increase the cash balance, the annual appeal, and various fundraising activities that we have in place. I just want to say, you know, we cannot print currency. The PA cannot print US currency. We cannot take our loan. We rely solely on donations from you. And we understand that making a donation could be difficult for many of us, but every dollar counts. If you cannot afford, if you can only afford $10, even that $10 makes a difference, okay? It makes a difference that you cannot ever imagine. But having said that, if making a financial donation is difficult for your family, we totally understand as well. And we kindly ask you to donate your time to the PA. We need donations, and we need volunteers to make things happen here in Brooklyn Tech. So that basically wraps up my report. Do you have any questions, comments? Go ahead.
Ideally, what
So the question is, what is the ideal asking amount? So we increased that amount from 600 to 750 last school year. Look, I don't know what the right amount is, but like I said before, everything helps. Ideally, I would like to see our cash reserve sufficient to cover a good chunk of the projected expenditure. Right now, I don't have my glasses, but I don't think we're there. Okay, so go ahead. What is their donation amount? Okay, so I gotta be careful, so I don't want to make any mistakes. But as far as I know, to the best of my knowledge, so being a PTA junkie for the past, I don't know, so many years, I've spied sitting all across New York City, essentially. Okay. As far as I know the school in Upper West Side, they are trying to increase the annual pew, but I think the school in Lower Manhattan, I think they're asking for 750. I think the school in the Bronx, they're also asking for 750 at this moment. But I'm not on their board. I cannot comment. This is what I know, and yeah. Any other questions, comments? Yes. So we are collecting donations throughout the year. Basically, we don't have enough money right now sitting in the bank to do the things that we would like to do. So the donations we receive right now will obviously go towards the current school year. Any excess, we can talk to Mr. Newman. Sir, we have a fair amount of cash sitting in our bank. You want to do something more? I'm sure he would say yes. So, the more the better. And like I said before, every single dollar counts. Any other? Yes? So, I don't know, high school kids selling candies, I'm not sure. I did that when I was a kid, but it didn't really bring in a lot.
I'm going to jump in. You do see some of that, but most of that are through clubs and sports teams. So they're already, the baseball team has and made a ton of money with popcorn. So a lot of those smaller fundraisers are out there. Now last year we added Picture Day for the freshmen, sophomores, and juniors. So that is a new source of revenue. It was our first year, so I'm not sure exactly how much we made. We have an annual gala the more volunteers that we can get involved, the more we can make through that. That's usually in late spring. And we'll talk, we'll let the committees talk a little bit about those things. But if you have ideas for fundraisers, please email us. We're happy to entertain any new ideas. Many of you have been part of other PTAs, and we'd love to hear about it.
So you have a question for Kim or me? Let's start with that. Yeah, so look, I think these are some wonderful ideas, and we will definitely talk to our fundraising team. And like I said before, we need volunteers at the end to make things happen. And we'll bring up the ideas for sure. Yeah, go ahead.
So the sticker that the children are using for the clubs, like it's like a $25.
The SGO sticker.
So is that like going toward this?
No, that's strictly different from the PA. That strictly goes to the school, okay? To the student governments.
Okay, that's good.
Okay?
Thank you.
The lady in yellow, sorry. Okay, so Tiffany, just jump in if I miss. We work in conjunction with the Alumni Foundation to make a lot of things happen here, okay? So think of it as three sources of income for Mr. Newman: the DOE, the PA, and the alumni. as far as I know, they have some restrictions on their spending, so they cannot, I don't know how much they have. I can't recall off the top of my head, but it's a lot more than $400,000. They cannot spend the entire amount in one shot. They have restricted funds that they have to go through their protocol to spend. Tiffany?
Just a quick sidebar, because I know some people have to go and they're starting to leave. Somebody made a purchase, but they left their items. So if you bought any uniform tonight, please just see us because we have a bag with your clothes. But just to piggyback off of what Kim said, Gasti, I'm an alum of Brooklyn Tech, and I'm with Kim, the co-president of the PA. So the Alumni Foundation and the PA, like Ken said, we do collaborate and we do the faculty grants. Every year we get together as a small subcommittee from the Alumni Foundation and the PA, and we budget together. And it's pretty much a matching program. And we have a long list from staff and faculty of what they need and what they want for the students. And we basically go through the list and approve or decline or maybe edit. We can't get this much, but we can give you some of it. But that's one of the programs we have in place that our fundraising goes towards the faculty grants, and it benefits academic enrichment. It benefits the clubs and teams, the sports teams. And another thing that we do is the teacher's wish list, which is going to start in hopefully November soon. And we send out an email to all the teachers and we ask, what do you need for your classroom? And again, the PA, we go through the list and we try to support the teachers in the classroom as much as possible, because we know that there have been budget cuts across the city, but also what kind of enrichment can we give to our students, whether it's books and supplies or some type of funding. What is it, the green wall?
I think it's called a living wall. Living wall. I'm not a biology major, but I think that's, yeah.
Yeah, so we try to support the different departments and the different departments and teachers here at the school to the best of our ability. So please take it into consideration, where the funding's going. And are we moving on?
I think there's one more, right, from the gentleman up front. Do you have a question for me?
My question was on the alumni.
Okay, so that was answered. So I think that wraps up my report. Back to you guys.
We do have some updates from our committees, but I think since we do have people leaving and totally understand, and I just went out of the whole thing. We have somebody that for our senior, Felix needs to come and just, for any senior parents, if you're walking out, they just want to tell you about an important date. Felix, real quick. And then we're just going to skip around a bit because we'd like to really let you know about the open positions on the board, the 5 freshman rep, after Felix gives this brief announcement.
Just to let everyone know, the senior parents, today's the 19th. September 22nd is the cutoff date for early admission applications within the school. November 1st is the deadline at the colleges, but the 22nd is the last day, 6 p.m. It will be cut off. You have to get your applications in, so please ask your students. Not everyone reads their emails, so please just make sure the students know. Thank you.
And again, we are going to jump around, and we have 5 positions open on our board for freshmen. And I'm just going to try and see if I think we have a slide that I just went by again. There we go. And I started as a freshman rep back in 2017. I haven't been able to escape, still here. Because I love this school a lot. And I hope you all, freshman parents, learn to love it. And Tiffany went to school here, as did members of her family, so she certainly does. She started as a freshman rep. It's a wonderful opportunity for you to come and join our board. Elections for these positions will be at our next meeting in October. please consider running. As I said, we will take 5 people onto the board. It's a wonderful experience for you to find out, what you like. Maybe you want to join a committee. We will ask you to participate and help with some of the committees. But please consider there's going to be a lot more information in Tech Talk, how you can apply, and send in your nomination or nominate somebody else if you want. But all that information is going to be available to you in Tech Talk.
Since we did say we're taking nominations from the floor, if you're interested, please see Amy or raise your hand and she'll come around and pass that out. Again, we need 5 freshman parents to join the executive board.
Can you talk a little bit more about what's required or
What is the requirement? That's a great question. So the executive board, we host the PA meetings every month, and we also, the week before our PA meetings, we have an executive board meeting. So essentially the requirement right now is 2 meetings a month. However, we have different committees and a lot going on in the schools, so we just all support each other. The freshman reps kind of float around, so to speak, where there's a need, where there's an interest, but they can always join a specific committee and support that, or just go where they're needed. For example, if somebody, when it comes to fundraising, if you're a freshman rep and you want to help with the gala, or if you want to help the diversity committee with Lunar New Year, something like that would be great. But right now, the requirement in terms of meetings are twice a month. The e-board meetings are virtual on Zoom, and the PA meetings, if you've read Tech Talk, they shift between in-person and online.
So please consider running. And we're going to have our committees give a quick update. I know that Monique wanted to come say something. Monique? So we're gonna go to our events and volunteers, and then if anyone from communications wants to speak, they can come up next. Sure, go ahead.
Hi everyone, my name is Monique. I'm the Events and Volunteers Co-Vice President. And I just want to take a quick moment to thank anyone who's here who was a volunteer earlier this evening. You're a rock star, we love you, and we want you to always come back and help us forever and ever, amen. Thank you. Secondly, just wanted to reiterate, being a volunteer is so vital to the success of all the different events that the PA does to help raise money, to create all these different programs that our kids can take advantage of, and it's the domino effect. And this year I would love to be able to create like a volunteer squad, because let's squad up, so that we can have a bank of people that we know have the time, and it's really flexible. It's not about signing your life away. It's really vital, and it's more than just handing out pizza or anything like that. There's so many different ways you can help. So if you can make yourself more available, please do. Oh. Yes, that is a very good question. I do intend to create one and sort of get it out there. I'm just looking at the best way, because I'm new to the job. But yeah, I'm going to find the best way possible to send it out via maybe the Tech Talk and so forth, and really implore again. But I just want to do a verbal. I like looking at people's faces and sort of having that hands-on, kind of experience. Anything else? No? All right, thank you. That was it for me.
All right, great. Communications?
Hi everyone. I don't know how to use this. Hi everyone, I'm Emily. I'm one of the co-VP of Communications. Just wanted to let you know if anyone didn't get one of these forms tonight for the freshman reps, we just want time to think about it. We will be putting a link to the online nomination form in next week's TED Talk, so you can take a look at that. And there'll be a deadline on that, but there's a few weeks for you to think about it. I started as a freshman rep, it's really big, just to learn what the PA does. And if you're not getting Tech Talk, you should be getting it once a week. We're trying to get them out on Tuesdays. Please go onto the website and you can sign up for them there.
Iris, you want to talk a little bit with me about diversity? You can come up here. Come on up. Diversity and community engagement started several years ago, as a way to bring different groups together. And the first event that we did was a Lunar New Year celebration. And it started, we had 200 people. We were amazed. We're now up to 500 people. And it was actually something that was a loss in our budget. And now it's one of our leading fundraisers because we have such an amazing group. We have entertainment from parents, from students who are incredible. It's a lovely night, so you'll be getting more information about that throughout the fall. Would you like to also maybe translate in case you think parents did?
那个中国新年的那个庆祝呢，我们一般在每年的2月份，就是中国新年之后，我们会有这个 event， 就会在那个restaurant 里面celebrate。The Lunar Chinese New Year we usually happen in February. That's after the New Year, Chinese New Year Day. So it's a big event we host, and this year will be the 8th annual celebration. So it really become a big event for us and also for fundraising. And it's very fun. A lot of kids, they participate and they have a talent show. And the parents also go up to the stage to celebrate. So we encourage parents from all cultures come to join with us and celebrate this Chinese New Year. Thank you.
And the diversity committee is involved in a few other events as well. Last year we had a new event which was the culture fair, and we worked in conjunction, which was the greatest thing, with the student clubs, all different clubs from Uzbekistan to Israel to Italy. All different clubs came together, and basically what we did is we brought the food, and they brought the culture, and they had games, and I actually couldn't be there. I helped plan it, and then I was out of town, and I found out later we had 3,000 kids that attended that. So that's one of the events where our money goes. We also worked again with the school for Black History Month. And this year we're trying to add more events, and we're actually going to, in Tech Talk, be sending out a Google form asking what events you think that we're missing, that need to be celebrated, because there's so many holidays with this vast school population. So we're really looking for your input, and if it's something we can do, we certainly will. We're hoping to do something for Diwali this year, because it's the first time the DOE has given Diwali as a school holiday. And we are working in conjunction with the school for Hispanic Heritage Month. There's going to be an event October 11th. Again, we'll probably provide food, and they'll provide the entertainment, and it's really great when we get to work with the students and the faculty, and we all come together as just one big group. So I think that anything else for diversity we need to say? Would you like to thank you, Iris? Thank you. And fundraising, Tiffany, is there anything you'd like to? Just be on the lookout. There'll be information about the gala. You're also going to be getting a letter about the annual appeal. Suggested, as we said, suggested donation is $750, but it's whatever your family can spare. We understand, times are tough for everyone. So that's just a suggested donation, but any donation will be greatly appreciated. Thank you. So now we're going to, I'm sorry, you have a question? Yes, and it's wonderful. We've been trying that with the gala, and we're becoming more successful each year. But exactly, in a student body this large, there have to be some connections. So we will continue to reach out, especially as we start planning for the gala. But Naeem and and Leslie. Brain problem here, it's getting too late for me. They will have a lot more information in October for you about the fundraising events going forward. But I know we've kept you a long time. I'd really like to have the classes come up here. Felix, I know you had more that you wanted to say, because the seniors, as we know, between college and all the events, There's a lot going on. And then junior and sophomore reps, if you'd like to come and say, if you have anything to add, we welcome you.
Thank you. I'll keep it really brief. I remember 3 years ago sitting in the seats that you're in right now. I was stressed because my daughter is all of 4 foot something, and I was worried about her taking the subway every day. There are roughly 6,000 kids in this school. By the second or third subway stop on their way, they will start seeing familiar faces. We have roughly 10,000 AP exams in the school, which is the highest number in the country, if not the world. Your students, your kids, are going to impress you. And this school, more so than any of the other schools that Ken mentioned, is going to prepare your kids for college and life better than any of those schools possibly can. Not just what they learn in the classroom, but being this many kids, we are bigger than many college campuses. So if they get a grade from a teacher, the teacher's tough, they need to speak to the teacher. They need to advocate for themselves. If they're not getting the result that they're looking for, please have them speak to the AP. Please speak to their guidance counselor. And just showing up with a closed door and, oh, no one was there, they have to come back. They have to follow through. These are skills that are going to serve them extremely well when they get to college and later on in life. So I not only occupied those seats as a parent 3 years ago, but many, many moons ago, I sat in those seats as a student at the school. When I was here, we were pouring molten metal into molds to create airplane parts. That does not exist anymore. Now they're 3D printing. They're creating robots while we used to use lathes to create some of these very parts. This school evolves. It is cutting edge tech. You can see robot fighting. We now have a mock courtroom. This school is amazing, but the opportunities have to be sought after. And earlier today, I heard a question about how do I get my kids involved? How do I get them to join clubs or sports teams? Many of you are taking that first step, as I found myself. Kids will do as we do, not what we say. So we can ask them, hey, have you joined a club? Well, I have too much homework. We think they're not paying attention because they're on their phones and that's pretty much all they do. They know what's going on. My daughter knows that I could just be setting up pizza or helping out with the PA. Teachers come by, teachers say hello. These teachers, they're all so very grateful for your help. We are conduits on the PA. We volunteer, we help, but they know that it is your contributions, it is your volunteering that helps with the teachers' wish lists, that helps the students. So they see us coming and volunteering and coming into the meetings and joining Zoom calls. They see that, they see we care, they themselves care. And the last thing I just wanted to say really briefly, my wife doesn't volunteer. Her job just doesn't allow her to do that. So as you heard mentioned earlier on the Tech PA website, right at the very top, there's a Donate Now button. Anyone can click on it, fill up some information, what grade their kid's in. And the great thing about the annual appeal is, like my Netflix account, you can set up a recurring charge. So if my annual appeal number was $750 or $850 or $650, whatever your number is, you can divide it by 12, set it up so it comes out, and like Netflix, middle of the month, I see the charge, and for my wife, that's her volunteer penalty tax. So everybody can contribute whatever it is that they are able to. Every dollar, every $100, every bit amount, whether it's volunteering or contributing, every single cent helps, and we really, really appreciate it, and so do the teachers. I'm going to hang out afterwards. If anyone has questions or things they'd like to know, I'm certainly available. Please reach out, ask your questions, read TED Talk. A lot of the stuff is in there as well. Thank you.
Lorraine from our junior class, are you here, Lorraine? I know she was out there helping up. All right, Teresa, Craig, any updates you'd like to give for the sophomore class?
I just like the microphone up there, it's fancier. Hello all. For the few sophomore parents who are here with us tonight, I would urge you to talk to your students and to ask them about what they feel could be improved or changed here at Tech. As we all know, sophomore means wise fool, and your kids are in a very unique position. They've gotten through their freshman year intact. Next year, junior year, they're going to have a lot more to worry about, but at this point in time, they can look back at their past year, think about what happened, think about their experience, and can recommend changes. So if you are a sophomore parent, please talk to your child and see if they can contribute any thoughts as to how the school could be improved, and then of course pass those thoughts along to us. My next point is for freshman parents. It's very easy in a school with 6,000 students and roughly 12,000 parents to assume that someone else is going to take care of everything. But please don't make that assumption. There have been many events we've been at where we are really strapped for volunteers, where we could have used many extra bodies. So please don't be complacent and assume that other people are going to be doing the work for you. Please step forward and help out. It will make your engagement experience here at the school much more positive, and it will also help make things better for your child as well. And finally, to emphasize a point which a few people have already made to you, every little cent counts. If you hear 750 and think, oh my goodness, that's too much, think 50, think 100, think whatever you can spend. If you can give even $50 per year, that will help our PA and help our students and help your student out immensely as well. So please bear those things in mind. We and all the rest of the PA are here to serve you, so please feel free to approach us and email us with any questions or issues, and thank you for attending tonight. Thanks.
Sorry, I was a freshman rep with Craig last year. I didn't volunteer just to do freshman rep. We did a bunch of other things. Up until this meeting, we were still working on posters while I was cheating at work, but it's all for the kids. Now, the one thing that freshmen come in, they are wide-eyed and overwhelmed. They will need to learn the 3 rules. What's the worst that can happen if you talk to your teacher? No. If you don't try, you never know. And there's always help for you here, whether it be a teacher, PA, fellow student. My son is a sophomore, and he already learned that there are exceptions to the rule because he asked. So tell them not to be, I'll just take whatever the status quo is, because that is a life skill for your kids. Kick those doors down. Teacher's not there, go visit again, okay? But encourage them to use their voice. That's what they're here for, to learn and use their voice. We can only help them so far, and we will need your help to help them. Thank you.
And just to add on to what Teresa said, for parents as well as students, if you have a question or concern, please go to the teacher first. If you're not satisfied with the response, there are assistant principals, APs, for each department. You can find their name on the Brooklyn Tech website. So, follow through, but please start with the teacher first. Don't jump ahead. But you can always move and ask somebody else if you're not getting an adequate response. Because I know people do have questions, and ultimately somebody will have a problem with a teacher. Please speak to the teacher. It might just be a misunderstanding, and things can get cleared up very, very quickly. So please communicate. As your student does, also you communicate with the teachers as well. And before we wrap this up, do we have any other questions? Okay, bless you all for that. And as I promised, our next meeting, we will make sure that we get things started on time. Our food was a little bit late, my apologies, but we will get going, and we will have elections, so we would really appreciate it if you would show up. We can't do it as a hybrid. We can't do it via Zoom. It has to be in person. So we hope to see you in October, and can I get a motion to adjourn? And a second? Third? Thank you very much, everyone. Get home.